Hi, I'm Danny Ramos, and welcome to this week's edition of Hispanic Speak Out TV, brought to you every week, Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. on Bright House Cable. We've been on the air for the past 9 years, and we bring you community news that's relevant to the Hispanic community and affects the local community of Central Florida. I'm here with my co-host, Lolita Chauncey, Glenda. I'm only kidding. How you doing, Glenda? How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Okay, and in a little while, we're going to have an attorney called David Stoller. David Stoller is an immigration attorney. He's going to be talking to Glenda about the immigration issues going on today, and that's part of our You and the Law segment, which we just started recently, and that came out of this book. This is the Lawyer's Consumer Directory. The Lawyer's Consumer Directory is a book which is chock full of attorneys that you can evaluate. It also has a lot of legal information that you may want if you are in trouble legally. You can pick up this book free of charge. It's at every 7-Eleven store throughout the Central Florida area. Absolutely free, and it's bilingual. One side English and this side is Spanish. So if you are also Hispanic, you have a lot of Hispanic lawyers here which can help you out. Also, the Hispanic Achievers license plate. This license plate has been issued by the state of Florida state legislature. It can be put on your car. It's a legal license plate, and it can be found in 360 DMV offices throughout the state of Florida. All the proceeds from this plate go to scholarships for needy students. So if you're proud to be Hispanic, put this on your car, and the donation goes from the DMV goes to a Hispanic scholarship fund. Keep that in mind the next time you register your car. Okay, Glenda, what are we talking about today? How about this guy that you're talking and raving about? The guy from the Johnson Wax Company?
The Johnson Wax Company?
Isn't that what you said?
I did not say that. Take it back. I did not. His name is Gary Johnson.
That's why no, there was just a connection.
It did. It was not a connection.
So
Gary
what about
Johnson.
him? What about him?
Well, I did a little research on him because, the Republic.
Why? I mean, I never heard of Gary Johnson.
You have to.
I have not.
You have never heard of Gary Johnson?
No. Johnson
he was
Wax
a governor,
I've heard of, but not Johnny Wax.
He was a governor out of New Mexico.
Okay.
Served 2 terms.
All right.
Was very successful and for the people, and as a governor, he actually had a surplus of $1 billion at the end of his term by cutting taxes and gaining some positions in employment. He's done some pretty good things, and he was actually voted somehow in the ACLU.
Are you a Republican?
No.
Okay. I'm only asking because,
why would you ask me that question about Gary Johnson?
Because you like a guy who cut taxes and he made money. So how can you cut taxes and then have your state in a surplus?
Well, I'm not really sure. He did it.
I haven't figured out. So.
Well, I don't know how he went through the budget and did everything. All I know, that's what I read in the Wikipedia about this guy.
Is he Republican or a Democrat?
He's a libertarian. So that means you're somewhat conservative and somewhat liberal.
Okay.
You're somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I think I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I think I've come to realize that.
Okay. So
Possibly.
You're not well, there's only 2 candidates that are running for president right now.
Well.
So you're not going to vote for either one of them?
I don't know. Depends.
Which one? You don't kiss and tell.
No, unless you tell.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to make that decision. You know what it is?
You're not even going to tell? Listen, how long have I known you?
Please, let's not get into it. we have 3 months before the election. I used to be a Republican.
Correct.
Staunch, hardcore Republican.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
And that kind of went to the wayside,
For what reasons?
A lot of reasons. The war in Iraq, which was totally farce, it was totally made up situation. We shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Well, then you're going to like Gary Johnson. Guess why? He wants to pull out the military out of Afghanistan.
Everybody says that until they get in.
Well, because I think it's all ruled by
Obama said the same thing. When I get into office within 6 months, I'm going to pull out the military.
And then he increased it.
And then he actually increased it.
That's
right.
What I mean?
So everybody says that, when they get inside, they get privy to certain circumstances that they didn't know about when they were shooting off their mouth. Once they get inside, says, okay, guy, this is the real thing. This is what's really happening here. And he goes, oh, okay, we better send in some more troops, So everybody changes.
Well, times can change because you have threats like Iran, for an example. They started making threats, right, and saying that they're going to blow up ships and whatever they were going to do. So,
but nobody's touched Iran. They went after Iraq. Iraq didn't do anything. They went after Iraq. And then they went to full war in Afghanistan.
Why do we think that happens?
And the guy who's behind it all, they don't touch that guy.
Yeah.
That guy is sitting there.
But why do we think this happens? There's obviously a vested interest not to do that, correct?
I have no idea. I don't know.
There's a lot of oil, correct?
Well, the oil is not in Iran. I mean, it's... you know, it's just that they go in where they can win, or they feel they can win, okay? But the Iranian situation will create such a hoopla that they won't get out of it in one piece.
Right.
You know what I mean? But anyway, so Gary Johnson is the new Obama walk-on-water guy? Is he white or is he black?
Well, that's a very odd question.
I don't know.
He's white.
Okay,
he's white.
Just, you know, I don't know. He's a walk-on-water guy. You know?
No, he's white. You know, he seems like he's got some good ideas to put in place. He's definitely against the banks, and he calls them banksters and the Wall Street guys. And you know, he is against what my belief systems are, that you know, they've taken advantage. Wall Street has taken advantage of people.
What is his position in the whole political scene? I mean, where does he plug into the presidential? Is he a vice presidential candidate? Is he a potential? No,
I mean, the only thing my understanding is he has to get so many votes or something in regards to even get on the debate, you know, to debate with them. Right now they're trying to get, I don't know if it's based on people, percentages, I don't know how they do this, but they're trying to get him with a debate with Obama and
That's not going to happen.
You don't think so?
Absolutely not, because the Democratic Party's already selected.
Why so doom and gloom? What if maybe this could happen? Maybe that this person could get, why can't they put him on the stage and debate? What do they have to lose to have someone in the middle and debate?
Because they've already selected the outcome. The game has already been planned. It's like having
so why
the
do we
World
vote
Series.
Then if the game's already
been? It's like having the World Series between two teams, and then some other guy from Milwaukee comes in and says, "I want to play too." You know, it doesn't happen that way. It's all been done already.
So okay, so we don't go out and vote?
No, go out and vote for either, you know, Muff or Jeff, you know, whichever one's going to, you know, you got to
you just like toss a coin and go, this is the one I'm going to vote for?
Well, yeah.
That's not a very good outcome. Listen, if something doesn't change soon with...
So look, the reality is you're going to be stuck with either Obama or Romney. Who are you going to vote for?
Well, I'm probably...
I mean, really.
Honestly, I would probably have to go for Obama. Only reason why? Because of the mess we're in. We've already gone through a securitization craziness with mortgages, as we know. Many Americans lost their homes when they shouldn't have lost their homes.
So we know that was a game. If I was a Republican, the first thing that I would say to you is, Obama's been there for 4 years. How come he hasn't had time to turn the ship around? He promised he would turn it around in the first 2 years. He didn't turn the ship around.
Well, Bush was the first one.
Wait,
hold on. Bush was the first one that enacted this modification program for the American people to help them.
But
who did the TARP money come from?
Can stop it.
Who did the TARP money come from?
I understand that, but a president is a president. He's there for 4 years.
Okay.
He hasn't been able to turn it around. Why? I mean, what makes him a superhero?
I don't want a Republican to come in and all of a sudden stop everything, as Mitt Romney is. He's for foreclosures. He thinks that Americans do not deserve to keep their homes. I am totally opposed to that.
If you don't pay the rent, why should you keep your home? You don't pay the mortgage.
Okay, are we going to go down this road right now with me? No, because families were forced to go into a delinquent status. It was not their fault. Everyone wants to point the...
So your position is that everybody who got foreclosed on because they were told not to pay by the banks?
Absolutely.
All of them?
I'm not going to say
nobody got in over their head?
Of course some people probably got in over their head, but the majority of the families were told they must be delinquent a minimum of 60 days to get any help. That's a fact. And if that weren't the truth...
But then why would they need help?
What do you mean, why do they need help?
In other words, they were told in order to get help, they would have to go delinquent. So they needed help to begin with.
They needed help to begin with. And so in order to get any kind of assistance after the TARP bailout money that Bush put out there...
You're going to vote for Obama. You're a Democrat.
Well, if that's the choice I have, if I have to throw a coin up in the air, that's who I'm going to have to go for.
Coin with Obama on both sides.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I just can't see now with where we're at, what has happened, that we have a Republican come in and just stop all the programs, stop everything, and it's going to make it right. I think it's going to make it worse.
He's not going to stop all the programs.
Really?
Yeah, he's going to increase the military. That's a program.
Yeah. Okay. What do we need to increase the military for?
I don't know, in case we get invaded by Mars or something. I don't know.
They know something we don't know. I mean, honestly, it has to. I think if we're going to shift, it's either going to be shifting because we need someone to totally come in and make a big change, like Obama supposedly was going to do.
Do you think Obama's really going to win? It's really close.
I think,
really
well,
close.
It depends. If it's up to Rick Scott, who keeps trying to purge voters and you know, draw the county lines.
Are you taking me down into that again?
Well, I mean, even Obama's starting to do that. Wasn't there something just written up that he was trying to sue or going to file a lawsuit in one of the states to something about the voting? I mean, they all try these little games. Why can't we just make it fair across the board? You know, people are allowed to vote that are supposed to vote, not the illegal immigrants or the dead people that aren't here to vote. You know, let's make it fair. It seems like Florida is like the craziest state when it comes to voting.
So you don't think that they should look into those voter rolls to see who is dead, who's illegal?
Listen, I don't disagree with that. I think you have to find people that are registered voters. I absolutely agree with you 1,000%. But couldn't they have been doing this for like the last 4 years, knowing that this is an issue?
They could have, but it wasn't convenient. Now the election comes up, and now somebody wants to do it. They didn't have a reason. Now the election is 3 months away.
They knew the election was coming. We know election's not a secret.
But you know, it's a firefighting thing. You know, you face these things as they come up to you.
They know that it makes Florida look ignorant. If you knew that this was going to be coming down the pipe, it does too. It makes us look stupid in the eyes of everyone else.
That's our political reputation.
Okay, wonderful. I live in a state that people think I'm ignorant. Why couldn't they, 3 years ago, come up with a system? We're very
okay, but we're here now, and they can do it. So let's get it over with.
Okay.
Let's purge the rolls, and let's see who's dead and who's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's skew it, and let's see. You know.
Nobody said anything about skewing. They said about you take a look and who's legal.
So moving
and who's
the
not.
county lines.
This guy's been dead for 7 years. He shouldn't be voting by someone else.
The dead people, I get the dead people.
Okay.
I understand the dead people, but you know as well as I know, there's a reason they're doing this. Come on. It's not about just making sure who can vote, who can't vote. What about the county lines where they're moving the lines, where the Hispanics can't vote?
Well, this is the
How do you like that? How do you like
what?
that? Where they're moving the county lines.
I didn't like that, and you know, I got into a lot of trouble, by the way, because of that.
You did?
Yeah, I told the guy it was KKK. You know, that's the KKK policy.
Well, it's wrong to move the county lines like that, and they're doing it right before
when you move the county lines. What's wrong with it? When you move the county lines in order to change the outcome of a vote because the minority community is gaining ground in that particular community, that is the same policy that the KKK used in the 50s and 60s. What they did was they redrew the districts so that blacks could not get people in office. And that's what they did in Orange County. And they did in Orange County several months ago.
Right in time for election year.
I don't know if it's going to court, but that's what they did.
Well, I have seen.
And the guy who headed that was Damiani.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that. Well, I don't know. I just think, you know, with all the technology we have, all these. I mean, we have Big Brother looking at us every day. I mean, come on, you go on Facebook, they watch you 24 hours a day.
But they like to count Chads.
Well. How embarrassing was that? Once again, another embarrassing moment of Florida. But what I'm saying is, you know, there has to be a system in place that can really follow people to make sure they're not dead, that they are alive, that they can vote, that they are a citizen of the United States, that they're not an illegal immigrant. I mean, come on.
Everybody has a political agenda. Everybody's paranoid.
Exactly. So
they're all
why not fix it? They'd rather not fix it. They'd rather have all this chaos.
They'd rather not touch it until it's convenient for their individual situation. That's the definition of politics.
That is so valid.
That's the whole thing.
That's
with
a
politics.
definition of politics.
And they all have their skeletons because look at Obama had the embarrassment of having Nancy Pelosi and some other high Democratic friends and people that were fundraisers for him in the energy scandal that happened where they put billions of dollars into this company that was already going bankrupt. And then that money disappeared, so he's got that. Romney's got the situation where, for some reason, we all know what the reason is, I can't believe that a guy running for president of the United States blatantly refuses to show his tax returns and actually gets away with it.
Yeah, that to me.
I mean, we're at a point right now where American people are like, they're so numb from all the crap that's being thrown that they actually let that happen. Now, I got nothing against Romney. What I got is, I want to see your freaking taxes. You know, I want to know how much you paid in taxes. I want to know. I want to know. You know, the IRS calls me tomorrow, I got to show my taxes. Okay? And I have to show my taxes for the last 3 years guaranteed. He doesn't want to show his taxes for last year.
So you're going to have to do a big pros and cons on both of them to figure out which way you're going.
No. I'm waiting to see which biggest scandal comes up in the next 3 months. Because you know what? They're all digging into each other's backyard looking for the next scandal. You know what I mean? So they can throw it out on the media.
You know, it's crazy.
You know, Obama's going to have a couple of more scandals. Mitt Romney is going to have a couple of more scandals. I mean, you know, how can you vote for somebody who put his dog on the roof for 2,000 miles in a car trip?
What are you talking about?
You didn't know about that?
No.
He put his dog in a kennel on the roof of his car and drove like 1,000 miles with his family.
Well, the animal lovers ain't gonna like him very much.
And didn't put the dog in the car. He had him in like a plastic kennel on the roof, doing 80 miles an hour.
That's crazy.
Are you kidding? All the animal people went
nuts.
Absolutely nuts. I'm a dog lover. It flipped me out. You know?
That is crazy. I did not hear that.
Yeah, yeah. Imagine, the wind and all of that. A poor animal.
Do you know what's really sad though? As I've been watching the Olympics, I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Olympics, but I have. I think it's a nice time to feel like patriotic and American and watching them. And then you have to sit in between the events and the sports, and you have to watch, Romney go off about Obama, and Obama go off about. I mean, it's so much mudslinging. It's almost just you turn yourself off, like you said, because you get so sick of it.
They have to eliminate all political advertising purchased by political parties.
Right.
The whole thing has to be. The government is going to give you $20 million to say whatever you want to say. Okay, each one.
And you can say whatever?
You can say whatever you want to say. That's your campaign.
I think they should get penalized.
It's your campaign.
Yeah.
That's your campaign. You get the same amount of money, and that's it. No 100 million, no 200 million, to say whatever you want. You get a fixed amount of money from the government where people can't buy you off. If you become president, I gave you, $1 million, that kind of thing, and I get to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom. None of that. You get a certain amount of money, that's it, you say your piece. All your laundry gets put on the table, including tax returns.
Yeah, wow.
And let the American people decide not based upon the creative deviousness of people who create commercials.
But it's almost like a National Enquirer, though. I mean, to me, it gets to the point where you're going, okay, this is so ridiculous.
I was sitting in a restaurant tonight, and two commercials ran back to back, one for Obama and one for Romney, right? Believe it or not, Obama had the Obama programs, and then there was 1, 2, 3. The next 60 seconds, a commercial ran, and it said the same thing, the Mitt Romney programs. It's like somebody did the both of them.
Yeah, they took the same class.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know,
crazy.
it's just sometimes it just gets overwhelming. It really does. And I can see with the American people, it's just too much. I'm tired. Me too.
I'm tired. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of the lies. I'm tired of the corruption. I'm tired of the banks stealing money.
Yeah.
The banks are stealing money. Yep. Nobody knows where it goes. Chase did $5 billion. It disappeared, and nobody knows where it went. And the guy from Chase is still there.
Yeah.
We ran out of time. Okay, and we'll be right back with You and the Law, which is our new segment with David Stoller, and he's an immigration attorney. We're going to fade in and fade out. See you in a minute.
And welcome back to Speak Out TV. This evening, our guest is David Stoller. He's an attorney here in Central Florida, immigration attorney, in fact, for over 13 years. Welcome to Speak Out TV.
Thank you very much for being here.
Very good. Just tell yourself just a little bit about yourself and what your areas of practice of law and how we can best help, families out there that are seeking to become citizens of the United States.
All right, well, my personal story is I'm a graduate of Nova Southeastern University of Law down in Fort Lauderdale. When I was down there, there was a position in the Career Services Index for an intern to work with the old Immigration and Naturalization Service. I took it, got the job. And I got hired out of law school and spent 3 years being what was called at the time an assistant district counsel. I was the government representative in deportation and exclusion hearings. I gave advice to the operational components of the INS and eventually moved my way up to Orlando when they opened up a permanent court here. And in '99 left to go off into private practice. And a couple years later, actually 2009, I became board certified. So I'm one of, I believe there's 61 or 62 of us now who have gone above and beyond normal passing the bar and have taken a specialized exam to call ourselves experts in the area of immigration and nationality law.
That's very good, because I can say I have a dear friend of mine that was just recently detained. We were talking about that just a little bit before the interview. And one thing I learned in just a little bit of research, I'm in foreclosure law, so I start to see all the loopholes and all the craziness that kind of goes on in different aspects of law. But when you specialize, you obviously stay on top of any changes, anything that you can recommend to these families out there that are seeking to get citizenship. So what have you found? I mean, there's been so many changes in the last, I'm going to say, 5 years, just in, foreclosure law and a lot of different things that are happening in the courtrooms. Has everything been pretty much typical, the way you file things? Has anything really changed that these families need to know, or anybody coming into the United States, what they need to know? Any things that have changed?
I mean, certainly I think September 11th was a huge watershed moment in looking at how we deal with immigrants here in the United States, both legal and illegal. Honestly, the law hasn't really changed all that much. There is some tweaking that's gone on in the past 12 years now. But what's gone on is that there's been an enormous amount of funding that's been thrown at what is now the Department of Homeland Security. And with increased funding comes increased programs. Okay. With increased programs comes increased awareness. And now there's a lot of things that you could probably get away with maybe 5-10 years ago that you don't get away with anymore, because the funding's there, the people are in place, and there's a lot of nets to catch what otherwise would be people that kind of sneak through the system before, which resulted in a lot. I mean, a lot of the folks that were that perpetrated September 11th, they were people that were known to the U.S. government, that were here in both illegal and legal states, who had left the country but the government didn't know, who had come back but the government didn't know. Sure. It really showed a lot of flaws in the system. Well, and tightening that up has been a priority.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of shocking things on that side that I learned when 9/11 happened. The one thing that I would like to ask, because I just really want to understand, because in my research trying to help my friend to see what I could do in my realm of research, why is it he was detained down in Miami, okay, and I'm trying to think of the facility down there.
There's either the Chrome detention facility.
It's Chrome. And he was down in Chrome, and then all of a sudden they flew him to Texas. And then supposedly he might be going to another detention center. What I'm trying, and what I found in my research is that $12,000 per immigrant that they're moving around like this to put on a plane, to put him to the next one, to put him to the next one. Where's this money coming from, and why do they move them so much?
Well, one of the things is, like I said before, funding to the Department of Homeland Security, especially removal matters when they're trying to both detain folks and actually deport them. That has received an enormous upswing of dollars in the budget lines over the past decade. What happens is that you get bottlenecks. The Chrome Detention Facility is a huge complex down in western Dade County, and what happens is when the bed space fills up and there's no other space to put people, they start moving people around to other facilities. And as you can imagine, the Department of Homeland Security has, fortunately or unfortunately, gotten into the business of having detained people, because there are so many people that are now being caught up in enforcement operations. And so ICE, which is Immigration and Customs Enforcement, typically maintains control over someone's whereabouts. And you, as an attorney, as a friend, as a family member, have absolutely no say in where that person is going to go. Now, in Miami, not the law, but the practice has been, if that person needs a hearing before a judge, and you can get that case scheduled before a judge here in Florida, typically speaking, they will keep the person here with that judge for consistency. But a lot of this stuff happens without us knowing as attorneys, without families knowing.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden you look and your person that you thought was in one place turns out to be someplace else.
That's exactly what happened to my friend. I mean, we actually hired an attorney for him, and then exactly what you're saying. Everything was going fine. They filed the motions, not only in Dade County, Orange County, but even up in Virginia, where the actual immigration, I guess, office is located, to let them know that they filed these motions in the hopes of keeping him there. For one whole week, they had no idea that he had been relocated to Texas. So that seems just a little odd to me. If they know that he's supposed to get a hearing to hear his case, and the motion has been set, and these judges know that, why would they not keep him in Dade County, so that transport to come up here obviously makes more sense?
Well, and there's a lot of money that gets spent. There's the movie Con Air. I don't know if you ever saw it, where they actually, there's these flights called JPATS, JPATS. It's an airline system operated by the federal government, used to transport prisoners around to the federal prisons. Well, immigration got into the business, and they've been using those planes to move people from facility to facility, and also for the purpose of deporting people. There's actually one of the positives that's come out of the past couple of years is there's a thing called the online detainee locator system, where if you have some information about an individual, it will tell you where that person is, although there are holes in that system as well, because when persons are moved from one facility to another, or when they first come into custody, it can be 24 or 48 hours before you really know where that person is.
Well, because you also have to know like their alien number. There's a lot of information that, you know, unless you're really intimately involved with that person or know that family, it's, you know, it's not easy to get that information. What do you find in the process? Because I know in foreclosure defense, there's so many frustrations on our end when it comes to presenting a case and going in front of a judge and pleading our arguments. What is usually I'm going to ask you, the most frustrating thing that you face in helping someone become a citizen of the United States?
What I think is it requires knowledge of a lot of acronyms, because there's lots of different agencies that do lots of different things. For instance, we were talking about, well, if the judge knew that this motion was filed, why wouldn't they keep the person here to hear argument or to hear the case out? Well, the deal is that ICE, which is in control of the body, is different from the immigration court, which is in control of the case.
Correct.
And so a lot of times the judge has no jurisdiction, and in fact doesn't have jurisdiction, to order ICE where to put that person. So the person may be moved thousands of miles away from family, relatives, resources, and the immigration judges have no control but to say, okay, ICE, you moved them, we're going to move the case from here, there, to everywhere. And you've got all these different agencies that are involved. The old INS, the Immigration and Naturalization System, is now 3 agencies: Immigration and Customs Enforcement, Citizenship and Immigration Services, and Customs and Border Protection. In dealing with what is now 3 levels of bureaucracy is, as you can imagine, quite difficult when we were dealing with the one somewhat unified level of bureaucracy that we had when we had the INS.
Right.
So it's just become increasingly more difficult as kind of more fiefdoms have been created as the government of the U.S. has tried to deal with and create the Department of Homeland Security.
Now, do you think that's because it's increased with the number of immigrants wanting to come into this country? I mean, why do you have to have so many divisions of different levels and different ways to go through? I mean, why is that even happening?
That's a really good question. I guess if I could answer that one, I mean, a lot more things would make sense in the everyday practice of law, and that's part of, again, back to the question you asked about the frustrations. There's a lot of, well, that's not our province, that's those guys over here, or that's not our problem, go talk to this person over there. And there's a lot. It's like 3-card Monte. You never kind of know what's going on at one time, and everyone's passing the buck to somebody else, and it's frustrating to try and get a job done.
Yeah, and here you're just trying to assist people, help people the best that you can. You're hired to do a job, and I can see the frustration, because when I was doing the research, I said, forget it. I'm not getting into immigration law whatsoever. But we thank you for coming this evening. It was a joy to get some answers from you tonight.
Thank you.
Again, if you're looking for a really good immigration attorney, Attorney Dave Stoller, who's been in the Central Florida area, you actually can find him in the Central Florida Lawyers Consumer Directory at 7-Eleven stores. I believe we've got about 165 now that you can find it. It's also in Spanish, so for those families needing an immigration attorney that may not speak English, then they have it in Spanish as well. Also, remember to go out and support the Hispanic Achievers and get the license plate. This is for a really good cause, and it shows your spirit and how much you love to be Hispanic. So make sure when you go next to the DMV that you go and you get this license plate. Have a great evening. Thank you for being with us here tonight on Hispanic Speak Out TV. We'll see you next time.